You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This is the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. And it is always a special night on Friday nights when we come together as a family. It's Open Heart Closed Case Night. And you can find on Facebook Open Heart Closed Case, which notably was created as a result of our daughter, Mrs. Biggs, and our daughter's murder about 4 years ago, ladies and gentlemen. And so every Friday night, because I am the owner of this network and I can make the time available to do this, All right. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for scaring anybody and stressing out as I did trying to get this show on the air. I do apologize to everybody. We are live, ladies and gentlemen, from the nation's capital. I am not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then to the socialist. I'm yours truly, the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. We have a great guest tonight on this night. This is always a tough night on Friday nights. Not just for the technical issues. It is open heart closed case night, ladies and gentlemen. And during those particular nights, we talk about unresolved homicides, missing persons, teen suicides, and child abuse cases. And tonight we're going to focus on Patrick McKinley out of the Virginia Beach, Newport News, Hampton area of Virginia. In 2004, Patrick McKinley, on New Year's Day, was killed. He was chiding a group of individuals about their music. They grew uniquely detestable in terms of his reaction, and they assaulted him and killed him. Jeanette, Richardson, his mother, will be on with us in a very few moments, and we will be talking with her about the death of her son, Patrick McKinley. And as well, ladies and gentlemen, we will talk about what do you do to overcome the grief and how do you turn that into advocacy. So she'll be on momentarily. What we normally do at this particular hour of the night, we're not running behind schedule, of course, is we generally do the Pledge of Allegiance with our children. And so tonight I'm going to ask that you remove all the things from your head, put your right hand over your heart to pledge allegiance to the United States of America. We have the U.S. flag behind us. We have the Pledge of Allegiance as well. And our young people will lead us. And when we come back from that, I'm going to tell you two things you should do with your children every single day, and then we're going to go to a quick break. Kids, take it away.
Put your heart. Here we go. Face your parents. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for allowing our kids to lead us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance. There are two things you should do with your children every single day. And it has all the things about God blessing America and America blessing God in them. The number one thing you should do is pray with your children. And then number two, pledge with your children. Pray and then pledge. Because not only will you turn their world around, but when they go into the world, they will turn it around as well. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, right after this break.
When I found out that there was an online travel service that provided convenient access to a large selection of flights, hotels, car rentals, and vacation packages, I thought nothing of it. That is, until I discovered that not only do they offer great prices, personalized travel agent services, and booking options that include an easy-to-use website with a live chat option, an innovative mobile app, and by telephone. Sound familiar? Welcome to Cheapo Air. Unlike other travel websites, Cheapo Air is the ultimate in next-generation online travel services. Cheapo Air provides full end-to-end support to customers via their website and also by way of thousands of trained travel agents available 24/7. While other travel sites make it impossible to even find a phone number, Cheapo Air displays its toll-free number prominently on every web page. The CheapOair agents are there to provide assistance with research prior to booking, throughout the booking process, and even once your journey is underway. So, no matter where you are, you will get where you need to be with the minimum amount of stress. CheapOair is flight-focused. This means they're able to offer a wide variety of flight options and customizable itineraries to meet even the most demanding of travel requirements. The team of CheapOair travel agents will stop at nothing to find the very best travel options for you and those traveling with you. CheapOair works hard to ensure that each and every traveler is treated to the very highest levels of service and personal attention. No travel request is too small or too large for their experienced and highly trained team of global travel agents. That's why CheapOair charges a small service fee at the time of booking. Since 2005, CheapOair has helped travelers just like you and me explore the globe at a discount. Whether I book on their website, use their award-winning app, or talk to an agent, one thing is for sure: CheapOair has helped me save time and money, flight after flight. More information on this topic can be found on the CheapOair website. We recommend that you familiarize yourself with our terms and conditions and FAQs. If you still can't find what you're looking for, please call one of our customer care agents. Enjoy your CheapOair experience and safe travels.
If you've lived in Hawaii, chances are you've had one of these cheery red bags in your home at one point or another. Today we're here at Lion Coffee learning about the history behind this local company and taking a look at its fresh new image.
So Lion Coffee was founded in 1864 in Toledo, Ohio. It was a guy by the name of Jim Delano who in 1979 brought it to Hawaii. It grew so much, he moved to Kaka'ako. And then in 1997, 20 years ago, he moved here to Kalihi, and we've expanded actually twice since then. We roast here locally. We're the #1 coffee brand in local markets, but we also ship around the world. Brands always need to stay relevant, and we went out, we listened to customers, we internally talked about what do we stand for. People love the Lion, they love the red bags, the gold clip, but we needed to be updated, contemporary, so the red is a more vibrant red, and the Lion has become friendlier, yet he's regal and he's wearing a leihaku on his head, and so we kept the same color lineup, and we have the red bags, which you all love, and with the red label for the unflavored coffees like the Lion Gold, the Lion Original, the blue labels for our flavored coffees, and that real rich looking gold bag, that's where we celebrate those Hawaii coffees. And then we've got the green bag, which has the antioxidant rich coffees, where coffee already has antioxidants. These particular ones have even more. And then the black bags are our decaffeinated coffees. When we repackaged it, we put the labels on the bottom of the package, and that seems like a really small change, but it was a big change because before you opened the bag and you started rolling it down to keep your coffee fresh, and you couldn't tell what coffee was in it. Now the label at the bottom, it's really easy to keep track of it in your kitchen, and the whole packaging is really designed to make it easier for the consumers who already love us, and also easier for those who haven't tried us. We really want people to try our different blends and our different roasts. Well, that's what's so exciting about working here is we do much more than just roast coffee. There was a woman who I met, and she talked about how she drinks Lion coffee because it reminds her of her late mother. Family gatherings in Hawaii is all about the food, but what comes out after the food's finished? Coffee, and you drink coffee and talk story well into the night. That's what Lion Coffee really creates, is that emotional connection with people.
This segment is sponsored by Lion Coffee.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We're trying to get this all straight tonight. We may have to reschedule Jeanette Richardson on our program. Unfortunately, unable to connect in this regard, and I do apologize for that. I really do. It's just a series of things that just don't always go right, but you know what? You persevere, and you persevere until the end. And so her story is a story that we do want to tell, and we're going to work it out that Mrs. Richardson come to us very soon. We'll have in the second hour, God permit, Howie Comen, private investigator extraordinaire, commentator with shades of humanity as a host, will be with us. But I want to take this time out on this night because I want you all to know something. As stressful as it is doing this, not just because it's Friday night and it's open heart closed case night and thoughts of my own daughter are going through my head, you still have to put on a show. Now, I want to explain to you all what I do is not as important as what Mrs. Biggs does all day long. She's a great teacher. She works for kids 12 hours out of the day, sacrificing, going up and down stairs and toughening it through all the pain and all the sorrow to do her job in terms of teaching children. My job is not as important as the President of the United States, who's responsible for the execution of the laws that are given to each and every one of us. Hang on a second. Yes, Miss Richardson, how you doing? Here we go. Okay, let's do it this way. Good evening, Miss Richardson. How you doing? What a bounty of miscues. Did you want to reschedule your time on the air with us? Yeah. But if we could do next Friday night at 9:10, that would be wonderful. And that would, yeah. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's something that we can work out at the beginning of the week in terms of a practice. Perfect. So no worries, Ms. Richardson. God bless you. Thank you so much for even considering coming on and talking about Patrick this evening. But I look forward to you coming on next Friday night, and we'll work that thing through. Excellent. Thank you so much. Excellent. All right. Bye-bye. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. My job is not as important as other people's jobs. They're not. And I know what you all see in terms of coming on every single night with the Rose Garden expressions of life. But I want you all to know life ain't been no crystal stairs, but I'm not sweating it, and I'm persevering through all of those particular things. A little earlier, we were having a lot of technical difficulties, and I don't know what you saw, okay? All I saw was my screen froze, and I panicked because when the screen freezes, for my individual screen freezes, that means everything's toast. So having to work through all those particular things just to get the show going. And then even my guests had difficulties getting in tonight. So I think in a sense, we've got Father's Day coming up next week. In a sense, I want you all to know tonight, for those who are hanging in there and still with us, and God bless you if you are, and you know, I want you all to understand, I do not begrudge nor regret. I spoke to someone the other night who was profoundly shaken in their life and things just not going well. And I wrestled these thoughts to them: enjoy every moment. Now, why is that important tonight? I don't know. Maybe God just wants me to talk to you all tonight in a manner that just you and I can be real. Bottom line is, what I do all day is incomparable to anything that anyone else does. You all do the hard work. You all get the bills paid. You all get the kids to school. You all make certain that time is measured and profit made and investments. You all do all the heavy lifting. I really don't. I come to you on a nightly basis, and I give you opinion, I give you news, I give you commentary, I try to make you laugh at the same time, and sometimes we cry together. But nothing that I do is equitable to anything that you all do in your daily lives. Not in the least bit. I'm an observer of life. And then I comment on what I observe. I'm often criticized from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. But that's no different than you all. In fact, the critiques of me are more professional than they are personal. Although, trust me, the personal wingers come in. But what exactly do you do when life has stopped and the merry-go-round no longer spins? You see, for me, it was easy. I have my show. I've been criticized privately and publicly because I have used my show as a sense of therapy. Now, I know I should have spent about $250 an hour sitting down with some guy with a pad and a pen telling him my deepest, darkest secrets and how my mother and father hated me, and gosh darn it, I'm upset and depressed. Life don't work fairly for me. Yeah, I could have done that. Maybe I should have. Maybe then I wouldn't be doing this show. But if you're going to enjoy the ride, if you're going to enjoy every moment, I want to let you know something. In everyone's life, a little rain will fall. How you handle it and what you do with it, the rain, makes all the difference. Again, don't take it from me. I just do a television show. But when someone knocked at my door, and trust me, I can only see life from my eyes. I don't know how everyone else's eyes are, but I know when I get the reports back to me that often I'm misconfigured from the sense abilities that I expected myself to be in. You know, I'm not everything that people said I was supposed to be, and then there's heartache and disappointment. But when you sit in your office and there's a crowd of people in your home and you're sitting by yourself you begin to think about things in life. You begin to think about the important things of life. The fact that you decided to play a video game rather than take the kids out to the park. Missed opportunity. The fact that you promised to take the girls to the mall, but you ended up just driving to a park and then taking them home. Missed opportunity. You had business meetings that came before anything else anybody else had planned or wanted to do. Missed opportunities. And so many of us can sit back and say, well, I'm regretful because of the missed opportunities, but you know what? No matter how much regret or guilt you have, you can't change the past. In fact, for those of you who are old enough like me, who can remember the 45 RPM vinyl and you put it in the record machine, and you turn it on and you put the needle on and there's a scratch on it, it will go to that scratch and it will go no more. That's your past. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, woefully, you'll be reminded of it often. Sometimes ad nauseum. You know, it's easier for people to tell you where you failed than where you have succeeded. And many of the great jokes are about where you failed, not how you succeeded. But you persevere on. Nothing I do is more important than what you do. Trust me on that one. I'm just giving you from my side of view. When you think on the fact that you had a lot of chances in life to love one another, to lean on one another, to trust one another, to speak, to encourage. You know, the tongue is life and death. It can speak both life and death. You got to be careful of those who just speak death to you and those who are silent about life. But you persevere. When someone knocks on your door at 11 o'clock at night and tells you that the one that you loved is gone, there's a whole lot of discussion in terms of who felt they were God in the taking. Some of us play God and then blame God. But when you have it taken from you, and all you can do is sit back and reflect, you can decide to remain in your misery, which will create abject poverty of mind, heart, soul, and strength. Or you can enjoy every bit of life. When we come back from this break, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your patience with me this evening. It ain't been no crystal stairs, but we persevere on. I want to talk with you, mano a mano, about persevering. And in the end, when we persevere, you may see the joy that I speak of. You're listening to the most influential urban conservative talk show in all of the world. Christianity, conservatism, the Constitution, capitalism. We talk about it all right here on The Exceptional Conservative Show at TheExceptionalConservativeShow.com. Go there now and join me in chat. We're spreading the good news to the ends of the earth. We'll be back right after these messages.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. This is open heart closed case night, and this is probably the last night that you will see the studio set up in this particular framework. When we turn off the lights tonight, the studio, I will be redesigning it, refashioning it, and I hope that you enjoy the way that it will look. If it doesn't look well, I'll deal with the consequences, but we're going to be making some changes, ladies and gentlemen, lots of changes along the way. The one thing I've always known in life is that everything was changing. We had a president who talked with us about making certain that hope and change were a part of our existence. In the midst of hope, there's always change. My daughter was killed at the corner of Naylor and Good Hope Road 4 years ago. So I come up on Father's Day next weekend. It will be my toll to know that there are no grandchildren on the horizon anytime soon. There are no weddings and none of that stuff. So I get to do this. I get to do this show. I get to persevere. I want you to understand that perseverance, according to the online etymology dictionary, it comes from the old it's a Paleo-Indo-European root, sig, to have, to hold. Kind of like a marriage. To have and to hold until death do you part. The word that's missing in the to have and to hold is persevere. Endure to the end. Continue on in the midst of the change, because change does come. There have been lots of changes in everyone's life that I know of, yet everyone wants things to stay the same. They don't. Things change. We always want something better. We always want more, something good. But the truth of the matter is things change. Some things change for the better, some things change for the worse. But how do we persevere? How do we hold on? You see, when the times are good and we're prosperous, when we got money rolling in, bank, and we can toss it around, ain't no thing. There's a certain bravado that we have. But we don't realize that there's a certain envy and jealousy of others at the same time as they're watching us in the blessings of the Lord. They say to themselves, I wish I walked in that person's shoes. But what God has for you is your own blessing. Be careful what you ask for to stand in someone else's. You see, next door right now, my neighbors are throwing a party and they're celebrating, they're laughing, but I can assure you that at least one or two of them is hiding a painful sense of regret or guilt or depression or a sincere loss. How do you laugh? Do you know, in this whole idea of tonight being open heart, closed case, I'm opening my heart to you, and hopefully we will close cases along the way. There were people who told me that I should not be laughing right now. Now, I just lost my daughter, and I was sitting up in my studio office, and I was miserable, I was depressed, because people were trying to say nice things to me, but they didn't come out the right way. And I felt like I wanted to be alone. I felt like I didn't want to be touched. And do you know there were people who came to me and said, you're not supposed to feel that way. Oh, really? I'm not supposed to feel what I'm feeling? Yes, you're not supposed to feel what you're feeling. You see, you're supposed to be downstairs and you're supposed to be the life of the party, Ken. But don't laugh. You see, we have all kinds of parameters that we set in place in terms of people grieving over the loss of the ones that they hold most dear to have and to hold. We tell people your child is in a better place. And 4 or 5 years from now, that fits. But in the moment, it doesn't, because the child isn't where I wanted him or her to be. It's almost sacrilegious when you think that a parent outlives their child. And not just by moments, not just by days, outlive your child by years. And so every day, while people want criminal justice reform, every day, in the case of an unresolved homicide, there are two things that a person's thinking. There is a thought that I'm the one in jail. And then there's a thought that the one that should be in jail is free. Y'all not walking with me tonight. If you understood, you would be running all over this church. You see, I know what I lost on that dreadful night. You see, I recounted those things to you as I spoke with you. I've been told to persevere, to have and to hold, until death does me part. I've been told to hang on to his unchanging hand, and trust me, I have never let it go. But more importantly, he never let my hand go. But I'm in jail in my mind, confined to the thoughts that someone out there knows something and won't say a word. They have done the role of juror, judge, and executor. That person who knows and won't speak up. And the person who really knows what happened is the person who did it, and God hasn't moved their heart yet to come forward and be clean and say, you know what? Wash me in your blood, dear Jesus. For it's me, Lord, in the need of prayer. We haven't had that moment, so I'm confined to the thoughts. I'm imprisoned by the ideals that my grief that I bear is too great for the world to share. So I don't share my grief with others because they wouldn't understand. And when I would speak, they would judge me harshly and say, you should not laugh, but you should smile. You should not cry so much, but you should weep with tears. You should do this, you should do that. When all I'm asking for is an open ear. But I'm confined to the misery and grief of my loss. No justice, my peace in Christ Jesus alone. Freedom. Freedom and liberty. Know how crushing the blow is when you did all the things that you were supposed to do and life ain't been fair. If only things had worked out the way I wanted them to, but then someone tells me to have and to hold until death does me part. Persevere. And then there's the gentleman. You see, my confinement is an outward one. I'm shielded by a room with 2 windows, a door, sealed in darkness at times, wisping away. My life surrounded by an 8x10 room with 8-foot ceilings. And that is my cell. That is my cell where I am to wonder what should I have done differently in my life in order to make this thing not come to pass. Maybe if I had taken them to the mall. Oh, what sins and griefs we bear. And then they tell us to persevere. While mindfully, someone who is imprisoned in their mind because they know the truth, but the truth won't set them free because they won't hostilely grab to it and cherish it and embrace it and say, it's me, dear Lord. I regret my actions. I've come that I might publicly confess my belief in Jesus Christ, and as well, Lord God, that I am due justice because I've sinned and taken a life. You see, that man over there is due justice because a life has been taken, and I'm due justice because I took it. Criminal justice reform. But we shield it with tax cuts and building basketball courts. Midnight basketball would stop murders, and it doesn't. If we took all the guns off the street, it would stop murder. Cain killed Abel with a rock. It wouldn't. You see, the hearts of men are filled with evil. And even God, Jesus Christ, when he said, I go to make a place for you, said, I'm not taking you with me. You must stay here to have and to hold. You must persevere. There are going to be some dark days sometimes. God didn't promise us no crystal stairs. God didn't say every day was going to be a oh happy day. But what do you do, ladies and gentlemen, with the grief you bear? Do you turn it inward on yourself and imprison yourself in a room because you don't meet the standards of everyone else around you? It's easy to do therapy when you have a television show that you can speak to. It's difficult to seek therapy when you're sitting in a dimly dark room, hoping that change won't come. Life ain't fair. It ain't fair for me, it ain't fair for you. You are far more worthy of God than I will ever be. I am least of thee. I don't deserve the good. I certainly deserve all the bad. And far more worse for all the sins that I've committed. For even the one sin that I commit is enough to separate me from that Holy Father. Oh, what sins and griefs we bear. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk with you about persevering and making it. Not just holding on, but learning to enjoy every moment of the life that God has given you. Because in the end, your life still goes on. And God has challenged you and me to make a difference, to be the difference. What others fail to see is revealed in us. Some people ask, why do you do this, Ken, 10 o'clock at night, asking, do your children know where you are? It's because they are the greatest gift God will ever give you.
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I'm Paul Stanley of KISS. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
I'm Councilman Eric Joya. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
It's been 27 years, and I don't know what happened to him.
Ramona Torres and husband Henry still are at a loss as to who shot and killed their son, then 21-year-old Henry Jr.
You wouldn't want to go through the heartache that I have to, my family has to go through.
The shooting happened here in this North Stockton parking lot in what used to be known as the Breakaway Bar. It was November 30th, 1991, an early Saturday morning. And according to Henry's mother, Ramona, Henry and his friends were simply hanging out.
He was shot in the back and several times, and his friend was shot 6 times, point blank, and he's paralyzed.
Henry Torres Jr.'s case is one of more than 500 unsolved cases from the San Joaquin County Grand Jury's report entitled Cold Cases in San Joaquin County on the Back Burner. Among the findings, 12 homicide victims' remains are unidentified. Cold case investigations, quote, rarely result in case closure, and there is insufficient staffing and funding for cold case investigations due primarily to, quote, financial limitations and lack of priority.
I go to a support group, Victims of Violent Crime, and there was a lady there that her dad was killed, I believe, 43 years ago, and it's unsolved. That's a long time.
Among the grand jury recommendations, the sheriff's office hire at least 3 full-time detectives, the district attorney hiring at least 2 full-time detectives, and Stockton Police hiring at least 3 full-time detectives by the end of the year, solely devoted to solving cold case murders. The grand jury also suggests the district attorney establish a cold case task force no later than March of next year.
Help make a safer, stronger DC. Whether it's a missing person, an unsolved homicide, or keeping citizens safe, there are a number of cases that are still unsolved. Please take a moment to listen to this one.
On Wednesday, May 27, 2015, at approximately 9:40 p.m., 27-year-old D.C. resident Sharnice Milton was shot and killed in the 2700 block of Good Hope Road Southeast. The victim, a journalist for Capital Community News, was changing buses on her way home from covering a meeting. Police believe someone on a dirt bike fired at Ms. Milton, but that she was not the intended target. The Metropolitan Police Department currently offers a reward of up to $25,000 to anyone that provides information which leads to the arrest and conviction of the person or persons wanted for any homicide in the District of Columbia.
If you have information about this case, contact the Metropolitan Police Department, 202-727-9099, and an anonymous text number, 50411.
I started the Armed Citizens Legal Defense Network in 2008, and we put this together for us. The concept was that if one of us armed citizens are involved in a self-defense incident, then we have a network of individuals behind that person in order to help them get through the legal fight, if necessary, after the incident.
Deal with the aftermath of a deadly force encounter where they have survived the initial fight to save their lives and are now working very hard to be able to save their futures as well.
What really has impressed me is the boots on the ground side of it. Having had some small part in some of the cases where ACLDN has come in and helped people who are in trouble, I've seen Marty Hayes' vision for this organization fulfilled.
last year one of my students had called upon me, ACLDM services, after he was forced into a fatal defensive shooting. He was guided through the process. His rights were protected by a network-provided attorney and got through the entire legal process without any real difficulties. Now it's behind him. He's able to move on with his life.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up in this hour, Howie Comen, extraordinary private investigator and a wonderful commentator. Shades of Humanity host will be up with us 10:20 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, TheExceptionalOne, Kim McClinton. So glad to have you all here. Mwah. To Mary Brockman, my bouncer-in-chief. So sorry about the earlier difficulties. If you all diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed from that chat room. Trust me on that. That's one of the best places in the world to be. Coming up this weekend, we have 2 movies that are being voted on right now. You can go to TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com, TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com, and you can put in your vote. Last week, I was creamed by a movie that was chosen by my producer, Bonnie Williams. And wow, was I creamed. It was like 70-some% to 30. We played them both. One played at the beginning, and the other one was We Are Stronger, the first one. That was the one she chose. That beat the daylights out of me. And my movie, I Passed for White, was played at the 10 o'clock hour. Had all kinds of problems with it, too. You know what I'm saying? So it worked out well for those who watch We Are Stronger. This week, the 2 movies, Cage No More versus, what is the other one right now? You would think I had this down pat. Wow. I kind of figured I should have done some research, right? There you go. Cage No More versus, and I bet you it's very easy for me to get this. There it is. Okay, God's Purpose. Bam! There we go. I should have figured that one out after today's talk. God's Purpose. And so those movies are up for vote right now in the chat room. And you can go to TheExceptionalConservativeshow.com. Go there now while you still have time to vote. I'm leading. My God's Purpose is beating her Cage No More. I hope by tomorrow morning it stays that way, and then we'll know which movie it is. But we do know who's sponsoring the movie night. And it's Belvedere Delectables. They are sponsoring the movie night. It's a gourmet company. They sent us their baked beans. Lord have mercy on my soul. Those were the most delicious baked beans. They're going to be the sponsor for the movies this weekend. Belvedere Delectables, side dishes and more. You can go to BelvedereDelectables.com, BelvedereDelectables.com, or call Stephanie at 540-326-1810, 540-326-1810. I am telling you, Mrs. Biggs tried them. We both enjoyed them. 5% of whatever they make goes directly to MS treatment, multiple sclerosis, a cure. And let me just put this here real quick so some people following along at home say, I can't write all that stuff down. What are you trying to say? There you go. Stephanie Whitmore, BelvedereDelectables.com, info at BelvedereDelectables.com, 540-326-1810. I'm telling you, the batch was made especially for you with a pinch of love, a sprinkle of brown sugar, a spoonful of maple. Loved it. A dollop of pineapple and a pop of bacon. I am telling you, that was good. We had hamburgers and the baked beans tonight, and I'm going to have more hamburgers and baked beans for the rest of the weekend. Oh my God, absolutely delicious. Order your stuff today. In fact, if you use the code, okay, y'all, here, this is a secret right there. Use the coupon code SHH20, SHH20, and you get 20% off your next purchase. Okay, there you go. That's your secret for the day, kids. There you go. That's your secret for the day. We were talking about in the last segment a cartoon. Yeah, the first movie's a cartoon. It's King David's animated movie. Thank you, Mary, for bringing that up. That's at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. So, I mean, after church, and you got all your kids, you've eaten and everything, gather them around, you can watch the movie. It's King David's animated movie. And then at 9:35, that's where the battle begins. Which one of these movies, Cage No More or God's Purpose, which one of those two movies will we be watching? I will look at the voting tomorrow morning. And for those of you following along at home, you're trying to figure out where do I go to vote? Because I want to vote on Bonnie's side. I just want to make certain that Bonnie wins, because that's the kind of people y'all are. Not that I want Ken to win. I want Bonnie to win. So you can go to TheExceptionalConservativeShow.com, share it, get it out there, get your vote on. If she comes from behind and whips me, I would be so upset. No, I wouldn't. But either way, you got great movies, really great movies to choose from. And you have the People's Choice, which will be at 9:35. You pick whichever one, whoever wins, wins. And then there's the Editor's Choice, which is going to play at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. And so far, how did the voting go right now? Yep, still at 57%. For God's Purpose, Cage No More at 43%. So there you go. So just in case, you're figuring out how to get there directly, I can give you the poll for that, and then you can have your family chime in and vote accordingly. Putting all that stuff in the chat room. There you go. You can share it. You can vote. If you haven't voted, you can vote directly now. There you go. But it looks like it's going to be God's Purpose. I want to talk with you, ladies and gentlemen. After you persevere, after you realize that God wanted you to live, because there are lots of us who are going through this immense guilt that we outlived our kids. Trust me, I've gone through it myself and often go and revisit. But God has a plan for your success. He has a plan for your life. That you might have life and that you might have it more abundantly. When we think of Job and with all that he lost, it was replenished sevenfold over. Over your losses, God conspicuously has a way of replenishing you, fortifying you, strengthening you, and growing you. God has a way of doing that. He's a funny man. Actually, he's a funny God. When you look over your life, you see all that you lost. Isn't it amazing how God can restore your soul in a moment's notice? It is that restoration that we should seek and persevere in. And part of that restoration is the acknowledgement, ladies and gentlemen, that we have joy. Now, I know some of you all tune into my Bible study on Sunday mornings at 9:05 a.m., but I'm not trying to turn this into a Bible study. What I'm trying to do is encourage you. And the only way I know how to be encouraged is to study the Word of God. So I'm going to share who I am with you I pray that you forgive me if it offends you. I hope that you take no offense and that you be encouraged. Be encouraged. Paul and Timotheus, the servants of Jesus Christ, to all the saints in Christ Jesus, which are at Philippi, with the bishops and deacons, church folk. We're in Philippians chapter 1. Grace be unto you. 4 very powerful words. Someday I just might do a Bible study on just those 4 words right there. It's an amazing thing. Grace be unto you. And peace from God our Father and from the Lord Jesus Christ. I think, here we go. You want joy in your life? Start doing this. I thank my God upon every remembrance of you. Not just for the ones that we lost, but for the ones that we have and to hold, persevere. I thank God for Mrs. Biggs. You know, if you want joy, start with thankfulness. I thank God that my mom and dad are still alive this particular day. I did not outlive them, although there were several opportunities where they could have outlasted me. They are alive this day. I thank God for my family. I thank God for you, my audience, every single night. You allow me to go through this therapy with you, open, prostrate before you, every Friday night. The wounds are deep and they are severely torn apart every single time I do this show. Open. And yet God heals me every single time. I thank God upon my remembrance of you. Verse 4 says, always in every prayer of mine for you, all making requests with joy. If the request you make in your lips isn't bringing you joy, keep your request to yourself. I know, y'all gonna get theological on me. You know, God wants to hear everything. If it wouldn't bring him joy and it ain't gonna bring you joy, why ask for it? Lord, I want the worst things to happen to me. Nah, I don't really want those. But if you give them to me, I'm going to be joyful anyway because you are who you are and I am who I am in you. But I'm going to make every request that I have with a joyful expression. Lord, I already know the outcome. It's what you want, not what I want. Now I have joy. Here's number 5. For your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. People say I'm lost that fervor, that spirit, that fire that I had when I was born again. I want you to realize something. Every morning you're born again. You should have a fire in your heart every single morning because you're born again. It could have been, for all you church folk, it could have been the other way because it really could have. It could have been the other way that you died in your sins. It could have been the other way that you woke up with a miserable expression, not thankful for anything, regretful of everything, and seeking nothing of the future. Always in every prayer of mine for you, all making requests with joy for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. I'm constantly praying for you. I hope that you're praying for me every single night, not just when I'm on the air, but when I'm off the air and before I get on. Being confident of this very thing. How confident are you? I remember the movie Scrooged. Bill Murray was speaking to the young woman that he had cast off for his career, and he said at the very end of the movie, I was going to staple horns in a little mouse. Now, who has the kahunas to do that to keep their job? You got to be confident in what you do, even if you know that you ain't completely confident, that it may not work. You got to have a confidence in you. Being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. Not until the day, not until your last. See, this is where we mess up. We say until my last day. No, it says until the day of Jesus Christ. God is still working in you right now. You may have gained weight. You may have lost weight. You may have been divorced 30 times. You may have never been married. You may have 40 kids. You may never have had a child. But I want you to know something today. God is still performing in you. It's not about the car you drive, the house you have, or any other status things in life. God is still working in you. And Howie, if you would bear with me, because I think I need to just finish this out tonight. Well, I'll bring you back next Friday night, but I'm beginning to feel that the Lord is telling me to say some things. So bear with me. Pray with me, Howie. Confident of this very thing. He ain't through with you yet. They may have taken your child. They may have taken your spouse. They may have taken your father or your mother or your sister or your brother, but God ain't through with you yet. You see, God wants you to use that not as a tool to steal, kill, and destroy your future, but to uplift it and to turn life around for not just you, for a whole lot of people. Here's the 7th verse. Even as it is meet for me to think this of you all, because I have you in my heart, inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, ye all are partakers of my grace. I'm asking you tonight, you lost somebody that you love. Someone killed your daughter. Someone killed your son. Someone killed your mother. Somebody killed your father. Someone took something from you that they didn't rightfully possess. They played God. And it wasn't just with a gun. It wasn't just with a knife. It wasn't a baseball bat. It was first with a thought and then with an action. You see, thought comes from the heart. And oh, the heart is most miserable. I want you to understand something. Who are the partakers of your grace? You see, locked up in this room, I'm of no use to anyone. But where are you taking God's grace to the world? Where? There is still much abounding in you. Yes, I understand the sadness. Trust me, I do. I understand what it feels like to be prostrate on the floor, crying my eyes out because I don't have what I thought I would have. I know what it's like to watch my wife tear up in misery and in pain, lying prostrate on the bed for hours on end, weeping because her daughter, her beloved, her fruit, was taken from her. I'm not talking to you about something I don't understand. I'm talking to you about life and that I do understand. Where is the grace he gave you? Have you taken off the garments of grace and praise? And you weep in misery when he tells you that whatever is in your hand, use. Trust me, I'm not. You all are far better than I'll ever be. But he told me to use what was in my hands. 8th verse says, for God is my record, how greatly I long after you all in the bowels of Jesus Christ. God is my record. I can live like a prisoner or I can live like a free man. You see, the thief, the murderer, the destroyer lives freely. He is not confined by guilt because he's not ashamed of the sin that he committed. He's not confined by the bars of justice because he refuses or she refuses to come forward. You see, I had it all wrong when I was trying to persevere. You see, that person was living freely and I was confined to the bars of my mind, and I was bitter and I was angry and I was sorrowful and I wept and I had no blessing. I had no grace to give. I was only thinking of myself in that moment and all that I had lost. And indeed, I had lost much. But God replenished me. He's my recorder. He said, get up. Do you want to walk? Do you want to live? Do you want an abundant life? Do you want to overcome? Are you tired of weeping? Are you tired of feeling just tired? Are you tired of being walked over? Because no one knows what to say or what to do to you or how to approach you. And many have given up because they can't reach you, because you are unreachable. You have put up the wall around you and you have said, I will never feel again. I will never love again. I will never live again. I will darken my place and I will lay back and I will just die in the death of the misery, of the hopelessness that I have. But it's God says I am the answer for the hope that lies within you. Even a politician will offer you hope as well as change. Why? When the patrons came to the tomb to dress Jesus, he asked them, why did you come? Didn't I tell you I would be up in 3 days? Why? Why are you here? Why are you still trying to dress the dead when the garments of praise should be worn by the living? 9th verse says, and this I pray, that your love may abound yet more and more in knowledge and in all judgment. I made a lot of bad decisions in my life. Trust me. Trust me. And I don't need to write a book about it. God already did. It's called the Bible. I made a lot of bad decisions. And some of the things that I know now, I wish I knew then so I wouldn't make the mistakes that I made then, and I would be better off now, if you get my drift. That ye may approve things that are excellent, that ye may be sincere and without offense to the day of Christ. If only I was perfect. Being filled with the fruits of righteousness, which are by Jesus Christ, unto the glory and praise of God. I want you all to know that there are certain things that I've said to you tonight that will offend you. But I want you to know that there are at least 10 things, if you are going to bury the misery and be uplifted with the joy of the Lord, there are at least 10 things that you're going to have to start doing to overcome the grief and the misery. Let me preface this by saying to you, there is no other balm in Gilead but Jesus. You can take it any way you want, but all other religions created their faith by hands. Only by Christ is faith given to us by God. So I want you all to understand, you will sorrow always. Don't let the shrink tell you you won't. As long as you can remember, you shall have a grief over a loss that you bore. It's there. It's kind of like when you were pregnant. You couldn't have been almost pregnant. You couldn't have been partially pregnant. You were pregnant. There is a sorrow that will be upon your bosom for the rest of your life. But God said it did not kill you. So whatever doesn't kill you should strengthen you so that you might be able to be a partaker of someone else's grace and others may be a partaker of yours. Someone's got to feel what you're going through so that they, when they come of that age and of that time, when it happens to them, because I may assure you, as long as there are men, there will be death. You can't spend enough money on climate change to change that. You can't get rid of all the weapons of the world and change that. As long as there will be men and women, there shall be evil, there shall be death. Death will come. It is how you deal with it that makes you better, that allows you to live, not die. God wants you to live, not die. He sent one to the grave, but he did not send you. This is an offensive phrase unto anyone who grieves this night because they lost their great love. They cherished. You weren't there when the baby had colic. You weren't there when the teething pains came in. You weren't there when the child was bullied and pushed around and taught and spoken in any particular way. You weren't there when she grieved that she couldn't find a date for the prom. You weren't there. But guess what? That mother was there. That father, that's there. So stop fighting it. Often we grieve because we fight the bitterness. Live through it. Live with it. But not because of it. Let it be a reminder that your grace needs to be partaken of. That you shouldn't be so short-sighted as to think that when that person died, I died too. Maybe the memory, the bitterness is symbolic of death, but you did not die. You remain. You remain strengthened. Partakers of others' grace. Some people say, Ken, you are a nice tea for a first sip, but the more you drink of it, you are very acerbic. To know me fully is not to enjoy me all. I'm not easy to love. And I haven't run into too many people that were, but they tell me that they are. But at least I run into them. Partakers of the grace. There's some things that you and I need to do so that we may live with joy. The first thing that a person who has joy does is eliminate negative words from their vocabularies. If the first thing comes to your mind is a negative thought. Now, negative, I'm not talking about the kind of person who, a fire's burning in the house. No, I ain't leaving. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. Let's be clear. But let's go on a travel just to get away for a bit, just to see a little bit of the world. And your first response is no. No, because I'm clinging on to the grief. You don't understand. I'm still grieving. Yeah. Yeah. But you're not dead yet. Don't wrap yourself in the coffin of misery and grief. Experience the grace of God in others and yourself. How do you do that? Stop saying no. Stop saying won't. Stop saying can't. Stop saying never. Not now. You know, many of us regret the fact that we didn't enjoy when we had the opportunity. All those opportunities I spoke with earlier, we didn't experience those things because we had negative connotation. We had negative, I chose something. And the other thing is you blame other people because of the choices that you make. No, I chose this. I live with this. Not now. Stop. Okay, I'm coming. All right. Come on. 1 minute. One more minute. And you turn around and they're grown up and they're gone. Don't let negative words in your vocabulary exclude you from the joy of the Lord. Here's number 2. What are your limitations? I guess all I am is a janitor. Do you know there was a woman in Alabama who was a janitor? And she was a janitor for a university for 50 years. 50 years. She started out when other kids in her grouping went to college. She went and started working for the university. And they used to love, I will call her Miss Mabel. I forget her name, but Miss Mabel, they loved themselves, Miss Mabel. Miss Mabel was always there. She was the one who held the girls' hair when, they got a little carried away with the drink. She was the one who prayed with them in the hall when they found out that they were pregnant. She was the one who made certain that stuff was mopped up and cleaned up. She would spend 14 hours a day at the university and then go home and try to see her kids. Every single day that school was open, she was there, taking care of the place, taking care of the kids. They loved Miss Mabel. And Miss Mabel always lived abjectly poor. She didn't have a whole lot of stuff. She had one TV set in her house, and that was good enough. And because you only need to watch one TV, she had a couple of plates, 4 plates, in fact, because there were only 4 chairs in the house, so that meant only 4 people were going to eat there. She lived a very simple life. And people used to look at her and say, oh, poor Miss Mabel. We got to do something for Miss Mabel. We'll make certain Miss Mabel got some gas for her car. All that. The kids used to take care of her like that. And over the years, she was saving a little bit of her money at a time, a little bit of money at a time, a little bit of money at a time. And then Miss Mabel passed away. She had fought the good fight. Great soldier of the Lord. You would find her on Sunday mornings with her children and then her grandchildren and then her great-grandchildren at church. She passed away. So the president of the university sent a letter to her home thanking her and sending condolences. And her daughter, who was in charge of her estate, after the funeral, visited the president of the university, sat down in his office because that was Miss Mabel. Miss Mabel, you got rights and privileges. If she wanted to come in and talk, her daughter wants to come in, her daughter can come in. I'll make time for her, Miss Mabel's daughter. Sat down and offered Miss Mabel a few of those little candies from the dish on his desk. And he sat down and before she could speak, went through a whole litany of memories of Miss Mabel and how he had been at the school as a student and came back and was now the president of the university, and he loved Miss Mabel this, loved Miss Mabel that. He extended the condolences and asked if the daughter had received the flowers from the school and the letter, and was it read. Daughter said all those things were done. But you know, my mom always wanted to do something for the school. She never really got around to doing it. But she loved this school. She loved this school. Mr. President, I believe she loved the school more than she loved her family. She loved this school. He said, yeah, I know that. She loved this school. And so Miss Mabel did something. She saved a little bit of money every week because she wanted to give something to the school when she retired. He said, oh, that's so sweet of her. Because she was a janitor, that's real nice. She probably saved about $20 a week. She's gonna give us about $2,000 or $3,000. We'll name a book after her and put it in the hall of the library or something. We'll do something special. That's wonderful. $3,000 or $4,000. That's just the most wonderful thing. We just love ourselves, Miss Mabel. So, what did she do? What did she do, honey? Well, she left this money for the school. You see, you don't have to give us no money now. Don't give us no money. We couldn't take it from Miss Mabel. And she said, I think you would take this. I think you would take it. No, I know Miss Mabel wanted us to have it, but you can keep it. Miss Mabel, get yourself something. We love Miss Mabel. We ain't gonna do nothing. We ain't gonna take nothing from Miss Mabel. Nothing from Miss Mabel. Nah, I think you really want to take this from Miss Mabel. So the president, knowing that there was another meeting coming, just wanted to quickly end this conversation with her. He said, well, all right, we'll take the money. What exactly did Miss Mabel save? What, $2,000, $3,000? Is that because we love Miss Mabel. We're going to do something special for her. She said, no, sir, you highly underestimate Miss Mabel. What? Did she save $8,000, $9,000, $10,000? Because that's really a lot of money for Miss Mabel. Wow. No, you really underestimate Miss Mabel. What, did she say 25? Was it the life insurance policy she trying to give us? Because we very, no, you really underestimate Miss Mabel. Well, how much am I underestimating Miss Mabel? The president said, aghastly, with all of his PhDs behind him, who was living paycheck to paycheck. She said, my mom would save $1 million to give to the school. Here it is. It's a check. You'll be able to cash it. With all those PhDs behind him, he couldn't understand how a simple woman doing simple things was able to create an estate so large as to make certain that children that she never bore would be able to enter that school and leave without a debt to their name. When you have faith, nothing's impossible. And I'm talking about the tangible stuff. Not just the intangible, I'm talking about the tangible stuff. Are you limiting yourself because you believe that this is all that you can do? Or you don't matter. You're not important. No one sees me. I'll never be anything. This is all I can do. Ms. Mabel said, all I can do is all that you will have, and all that I have will amount to very much. You see, the president of the university was used to people just giving him a little something, something. alumnus with PhDs and master's degrees and studying the field. Oh, they would get special awards for giving $2,000 or $3,000. Miss Mabel, after 50 years, has saved over $1 million and gave it to the school. What's impossible for you to do? And after you tell me what it is, ask God to make it possible for you to do. Because there is nothing impossible for God. Here's another thing. You need to start seeking out the opportunities. Advocacy. It's a wondrous thing. But it may not be the only thing. The most difficult thing for people to do is to make themselves available for the blessing. Some of you all think that the blessing is someone doing something for you. No, but when you make yourself available to others, you become the blessing. You are the power to create wealth. You are the Alpha and the Omega. Make yourself available. That room, that dark room that is your mausoleum, get up and get out of it. Your children wouldn't want you to do that. Stay in a mausoleum. For their place has been made for them by Christ. Your place has not yet come. Get up. Pick up your mat and walk. Find an opportunity to be a partaker of that grace. Also, take as many leaps of faith as you can. See, it's easy to laugh and smile and celebrate when you have lifted off the ground and you are floating in the air and celebrating and, oh, look how great I am. But when your toe inaccurately hits the pavement and you fall flat first, straight down, can you smile then? Listen, you got to take risk. For men, sometimes the greatest risk he's ever taken was asking you out for a date. Sometimes the greatest risk she's ever committed to was saying I do. Sometimes the greatest commitment, the greatest risk someone took was saying I will come down the elevator stairs and become president of the United States. You got to take risk. Those are leaps of faith. Here's another one. You got to spread the love. You can do it quietly or you can do it boldly, but you got to spread the love. One of the most amazing things to do when you're at the McDonald's in the drive-thru and you're waiting is to get to the counter, the drive-thru counter, and say, you know what, not only I'm going to pay for my stuff, but I'm going to pay for the car behind me. But you don't know what they ordered. It doesn't matter. That's a simple thing. The whole idea of paying it forward is really about doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. I wouldn't want to kill somebody else's child, but someone did unto me in that fashion. Should I do it unto them? I think not. I won't. Paying it forward means that I'm going to find a way to bless the person who is my enemy as much as I would bless someone who is my friend. You see, love is easy when it's easily returned. Learn to love people. Learn to love the one who killed your child. That's love. Also, joy enriches others. Doing something with your time, your talent, your service. Being a blessing, of course. I spoke about that earlier. But your objective in life is to enrich others. Don't stop. Don't stop living. Don't stop living. Don't stop living because the one you love is dead. It's a woman who said to her husband, honey, if you ever died, I would lay next to your gravesite every night and every day. The husband looked back to her and said, you know what? The way you treat me now, I think you're doing the very same thing. The whole idea about living next to the gravesite, stop. Remembrances was one thing, but living next to the gravesite, turning it into go out and enrich other people with your life. You are more than just a piece of paper. You are more than a photograph. You are more than that last thought of negativity that you had about yourself. You're more than that. Here's another thing that a joyful person does. They're intentional about what they do. You know, one of the best scriptures, Matthew 6:33, is seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and then all these things will be added unto you. We always forget the seek ye first part, and we forget all that. We add this. Start adding. Would you just add? Add. But here you go. You got to be intentional. Find ways to bless people. Even when you have no way, find a way to bless somebody. You know, one of the greatest blessings in the world, you want to see some love on your face. That little kid whose mama told them, don't touch nothing at the candy aisle. You better just look ahead, don't touch nothing. But you can see that little kid looking over at the candy, and they just wish mama would look up, down at them so they can look over the candy, you know, get that little look, can get the candy for me, mama. Won't say nothing because they know they're going to get popped in the mouth. And they just sit there. Buy that baby a piece of candy. But you gotta ask the parents' permission, and then you gotta get it in writing. No. Be intentional. Do something intentional. Bless somebody like they've never been blessed before. That little kid right there will remember the day you bought them some chewing gum. They won't remember that it was 1 piece, 2 piece, or 3 piece. All they know is this lady came into the store and blessed me by buying me a piece of candy. And they'll remember that, and 20 years from now, they will do the same thing. You want to change the world? Be intentional in this world. Because God's intentional in the world that he has for you. Doing the most with the little is the greatest part of a living mindset. Here's another thing. Be approachable. Smile, dang it, smile. There was a lady who was about to lose her job. When we were at the DC Financial Authority, she was criticized for the work that she did, and she really didn't do a bad job. She was just often criticized because she was tough. And one day we were standing next to each other, and she was a beautiful woman. She was just as brilliant as she was beautiful. And I was just, I'm just a little low guy on the totem pole of life, I'm not even recognizable. And we were standing next to each other, and I turned to my left, and I looked at her, and I said, you should always smile, because that way your enemy will never know that they won. Now, this really august, well-educated woman was staring up at the sky, and then all of a sudden, she looked over at me like God had spoken to her. And she said, thank you. And we got on the elevator. We didn't say anything else to one another because, she was she and I was me. But do you know, 20 years later, we ran into each other at a Safeway up on Connecticut Avenue in Northwest Washington, D.C. She said, Ken. Now, I don't even remember her name. I mean, it's been a long time since I... She said, Ken. I was like, yes, hey, how you doing? She said, you don't remember me exactly, because that's why it took me so many times to get your attention. But we used to work together at the DC Financial Authority, the control board. And I said, yes, now I remember you. And I want to thank you, Ken, for what you said to me when we were standing at the elevator. Because from that day forth, all I have ever done is smile. and my enemies never knew whether they defeated me or I was victorious. All I ever do now is smile. You know what a smile does? A smile makes you approachable. You sitting around with that gloom and doom look and wondering why nobody want to talk to you. Smile. A smile says, I can bring you my joy, I can bring you my sorrows, but I can be in your company. Smile. On the tough days, smile. On the bad days, smile. On the good days, smile. It doesn't mean that you don't have feelings. It doesn't mean that no one's listening to you. But gosh darn it, you never know when a psychiatrist might walk up to you and ask you for a smile. It might make them want to talk to you about your own issues. Also, joyful people are encouragers. That's why you got to get rid of the negativity. I love to encourage people. I once had a minister who was trying to park a car in a certain area and was trying to get in to an area, and it looked impossible for him to get into, and it really was impossible for him. He couldn't do it. And I kept encouraging him, though. I kept encouraging, you can do it. You can do it. He got out of the car. He looked down. He was like, oh, I can't do that. I said, yes, you can. You can do all things. You can do it. You can do it. So there's a limit to what you can do. But encourage people. The little boy who says, I can't read, encourage him to read, because you never know if he's going to become the head of Health and Human Services or HUD, or actually separate twins from the head. You never know. Encourage. Here's the last thing, and this is the most important thing. If you want joy, forgive. I know for women, forgiving is easy, forgetting ain't. And for men, forgiving is very easy, especially when there's a drink involved. This is the hardest thing in the shortest amount of time to bear it. But someone killed your child. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And remember, as the murderer was forgiven, he became the lawgiver for the nation of Israel, and his name was Moses. Forgive. Forgiveness is really not for the other person. Forgiveness is for you. It means that you can finally let go and let God. Why do I speak so briefly on that? Because in all reality, it is the toughest thing you will ever have to do with your entire life. More importantly, the toughest thing you'll ever have to do is forgive yourself. Learn and grow. Listen, I don't know if you remember anything else I said tonight, but I hope you do remember this. God bless America. It is time now for America to bless God. Tomorrow morning, I'll let you know what movie became the #1 movie for the weekend that we're going to watch at 9:35. We're going to ask that you come back and watch TECN TV. And next week, we will have Jeanette Richardson. From all of us at TECN TV, Mary Brockman, love you dearly. Howie, thank you for understanding. God bless you. I'll look forward to you coming back next week. And Mrs. Biggs, love you dearly. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. God bless you all.